minutes earlier. So we are going to look at the topic on communication and branding this morning. And to do justice to that will be our own Amen Peter Odia, a public communication analyst and expert working with NIMSI. Madam, please, you have the floor. You can make your presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, it is. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the training. My name is Dr. Ame Peter Odia. I'll be taking the presentation on a guide for communication and community entry for NIN enrollment. First and foremost, we're going to start with what communication is. Communication has to do with all human doings that have a certain kind of meaning to others, exchange of meanings, sharing of information, sending and receiving messages, and transmission of information. Our day-to-day activities include communication. We have the various forms of communication. We have the verbal communication, which is what I'm doing right now. We have the non-verbal communication, which are the gestures, sign languages, and we have the written communication, the one you put in form of writing, emails, and all that. So the communication skills for FAPs. First, who are the FAPs? The FAPs are our front-end enrollment partners. FEPs, front-end enrollment partners. So the communication skills for FAPs. For written communication, we have the emails, the SMS, the reports, and the memos. Features of effective written communication. It has to be comprehensive. That means it has to have all the relevant details. It has to be accurate. All the details must be correct. It has to be appropriate, meaning it has to have the right tone and level of formality. What do we mean by it being appropriate? You're writing to your father and you're writing to your boss. There are two different types of communication. Composition, you have to have the right spelling and grammar. Spellings differ a lot. Spellings can change everything you're writing about. Then you have to be clear. You need to speak clear. You need to speak eloquent. People need to understand what you're saying. You need to be understandable. Those are the features of effective written communication. Tips for writing clearly and effectively. You have to be clear on the goal and convey same effectively. If you're talking about enrollment, you don't have to bring voting inside. Those are two different topics. You have to use the right tone. You do not shout. You do not shout and you don't talk so low so that people will get the message clearly. You have to stay on the topic, which is what I said before. You're talking about enrollment, don't go to voting or election. Then let it go through a second eye, as in nobody is perfect all the time. It's possible there's a mistake, so you give your colleague to go through for you. Then avoid complex words and expressions. There are a lot of complex words and expressions, like you don't use ambiguous words. Don't use words that people do not understand. Use simple languages, simple words to communicate to your clients, to your enrollees. Then be professional. Be professional. Dress accordingly. Dress well. Be professional when you talk. Then we have features of effective verbal communication. Clarity. Messages spoken must be clear and easily understandable. It must be relevant. Spoken messages must be relevant to the context of discourse for the recipients to make meanings out of them. When you're talking to someone, let the person know what you're talking about. Don't deviate. Stay on the topic of discussion. Stay on the topic of discourse. Then be tactful. In spoken communication, care must be taken in order not to say things that could upset someone. Showing skills and sensitivity in dealing and talking with others is very important. You know, you have to be empathic, as in, you have to show empathy so that you don't upset another person when you talk to them in the course of doing this business, which is enrollment of Nigerians. You have to be concise. Good oral communication involves giving a lot of necessary information clearly and in a few words. Be brief but comprehensive. An example is, I will say, good morning, welcome to the enrollment center. What's your name? You're brief and you're comprehensive. I just said, good morning, welcome to the enrollment center. What's your name? That's it. Don't make the matter longer than what it is. Don't go and start asking for their family. How was his night? How was her night? That is not your business. You have to be brief and comprehensive. Then you have to be informative. Words spoken must provide useful or interesting information, knowledge, or ideas. As enrollment officers, as front end partners, we need to know the job. We need to know what we're doing. We need to know why we're there. You need to know that you're a NIMSI ambassador. You are not you're not a, how will I put it now? You're not a CBN ambassador. You work for NIMSI. So you need to be informative. You need to know what the NIN is. Because a client can just come in and ask you, what is the NIN? You need to know. You have to be simple. Use of simple, everyday, and easily understandable words and expressions gives better results. Tips for effective tips for effective verbal communication. You need to think before speaking. You need to be clear and concise. You need to understand your audience. If you're in a motor park, you need to understand that audience. If you're in an official environment, you need to understand the audience. Then be mindful of your tone. A lot of people will think you're being insulting if you shout. A lot of people will think you're being rude if you're too direct. So you need to be mindful of your tone. Then you pay attention to your body language. Employ active listening. You need to listen very well. Then speak with confidence. Then use humor to engage the audience. For nonverbal communication, some examples of nonverbal communications include smiling. When you meet someone, when you meet someone, conveys friendliness, acceptance, and openness. Other facial expressions. The human face is extremely expressive, able to convey countless emotions without saying a word. Body movement and posture, gestures, eye contact, touch, and space. These are all examples of non-verbal communication. Then we'll talk about the visual communication. This involves the use of visual elements to convey ideas and information. Examples of visual communication include signs, typography, drawing, graphic design, illustration, advertising, animation. These are things we see on TVs, billboards. They're examples of visual communication. Principles of visual communication. It needs to be clear. It needs to be simple. It needs to be accurate. It needs to be, there needs to be variety, including a range of images and style to appeal to different viewers. Credibility, giving the viewer a sense that what they are seeing is credible and legitimate. Then audience engagement. You need to catch the audience. You need to, catch their attention. Keeping the viewer interested in what they are viewing so that they will continue to look at the image and not skip over it. Most of us remember the Joy advert of those days. It still plays in our memory and our minds up to today because it caught our attention. Visual versus multimedia. Images are often used for documentation or presentation purposes. Images are just pictures. Videos are sequences of images that are played back continuously, used for learning and entertainment. Active listening. Active listening technique. In this job of enrollment offices, we need to be active when it comes to listening. We need to listen attentively. You focus on the intent and the purpose of the conversation, attention to body language, you ask questions. If you're not clear on the topic, you ask questions. You refrain from judgment, then you summarize. Barriers to effective listening, lack of listening preparation, poorly structured messages. When a message is not clear, you won't get it. Poorly delivered message, prejudice, when you make up your mind about the topic already. Explanation and interpretation skills. Explanations seek to make things clear and better understood. It involves making a complex issue simpler for easier understanding. Interpretation helps people to make sense of and understand more about an issue or an event. Ways to explain things more effectively. Keep in mind others' point of view. Listen and respond to questions. Avoid talking down people. Ask questions to determine understanding. Take it step by step. Use direct eye contact. Use analogies to make concepts clearer. Verify understanding. Am I making sense? Would you like me to go over it again? Then use visuals. So we'll come to branding and branded materials as FEPs to increase your market, to increase your business. You can brand, but for branding, you need to co-brand with NIMSI. You need to get the approval from the NIMSI Corporate Communications Unit for guidance when it comes to branding. So we're saying that production of all forms of branded materials must conform with NIMSI's brand guidelines. FEPs are required to pay special attention to the Commission's brand features and visual images, such as name, logo, colors, among others. Violation of NIMSI's brand requirement is considered a serious offense. When in doubt, please contact NIMSI's Corporate Communications Unit for guidance. The name, logo, and all other branding materials to be used must conform with NIMSI's brand guidelines and regulations. When in doubt, consult the SOP on communication and branding as well as NIMSI's brand guidelines. So these are the NIMSI's official logo and samples IECs. So we're talking about communication entry strategy. As enrollment officers, we're going to be going into places we don't know just to capture data, just to enroll them into the national database. What is community entry? This is the process, principles, and approaches utilized in community mobilization and participation to achieve the objectives of a program or intervention. This involves recognition of the community's leadership, its people, and adopting the most appropriate measures of engaging them and eliciting their participation. So we have the FEP's guidelines to community entry. You need to identify the community. Know where you're going to. If you're going to Edo State, identify which community in Edo State you're going to, the particular community. Research about the community. Know the terrain, the leadership, the religion, the language, and other demography. Visit community and engage with the community leaders. Town hall meetings, meet with chiefs and council to introduce yourself, to introduce your organization, explain affiliation with NIMSI and objectives of your program. Tell them why you are there. Have your identity cards on you. Then you communicate key message. You communicate enrollment requirements. Request support if required. Mobilization, clustering people. When we mean clustering people, some communities, men and women don't enter the same room. So you need to know if you're putting men in one place, children in one place, women in one place. Then you need to get a suitable enrollment location. Then you elicit information on traditions, taboos, etc. There are some communities women don't wear trousers. There are some communities women don't open their hair. You cover them. So these are traditions, taboos in places. So you need to get this information before going to that community. So the key message for engaging communities, the key message should answer the questions listed below. Who are we? What are we? What is the name? Who needs the name? The uses of the name. An example of a key message is, you can see it on the board, like this, and just a typical example. You can change it, you can coin it, you can just, do what you want with it as far as it's okay and it's the message is clear. So this is an example. This is an example of an enrollment officer in a community. So he says, my name is Shehu Chisom Kolawole, a staff of XYZ Nigeria Limited. XYZ Limited is a licensed enrollment partner with the National Identity Management Commission. We have been licensed to collect personal identifiable information on behalf of the Commission and issue a release with the National Identification Number, the NIN. The NIN is an 11-digit unique number that is issued to individual upon successful enrollment. The NIN is an identifier that enables the individual to assert his identity and access diverse government services. So this message has taken care of these questions: who we are, what we do, what is the NIN, who needs the NIN, then uses of the NIN. Obligations of FEPs to enrollees. Clearly communicate their roles and objectives at the community. Remember that enrollment is free. At the enrollment location, list and explain the requirements to access the enrollment service. Breeder document. That's people without breeder document can be introduced by a reputable member of the community. Breeder documents are the documents you come with when you come for enrollment. Examples are your birth certificates, your international passport, your driver's license, your school ID card, and so on. Carry out enrollment service. Ensure confirmation of data entered by enrollee prior to submission. This is to avoid mistakes. This is to avoid corrections. Issue NIN slip. Then display IEC materials. IEC materials are information and education materials for enrollment. Exemplary conduct. FEPs are expected to behave in a manner that is worthy of imitation and commendation. When you get to these communities, you do not misbehave. You need to show you are cultured and you're learned. FEPs are ambassadors of the National Identity Management Commission. Obligation of community members. Active participation to ensure the success of the enrollment. Community members are expected to provide correct personal information. Community members should adhere to the official guidelines for accessing the enrollment service. Community leaders should assist with cascading messages to community members and also facilitate enrollment clustering plan. Sensitization and awareness strategies for FEPs. Outside loudspeakers, public address systems, social media posts and bulk SMS, community media and town criers, traditional and religious institutions, community and opinion leaders, town hall meetings and other community events, branded materials such as banners. I talked about branded materials. You must co-brand with NIMSI. You do not go and put XYZ Enrollment Center without including NIMSI in the background of their banner. recorded audio announcement. Conclusion and recommendation. Effective communication is necessary for the success of every FEP. All FEPs must conform with NIMS guidelines on communication and community entry. Then all hands must be on deck. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed Peter Odia. We'll move straight to the Q&A to take your questions. And those who would like to talk to us directly, indicate so in the chat box so that we can move you to the panel room. So you
Okay. I'm seeing one.
You can pick anyone that's connected to you.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to be picking this question from Naya Technology Solutions Limited. It says, good morning. Please, my question is in the class. If they tell us the meaning of FEP is front-end enrollment partners in NIMSI, meaning, and when I give it as meaning, I'm not understanding. Good morning. Okay, FEPs means front-end enrollment partners, not front-end partners. So let's be clear on that. Okay. Okay, there's another question from Ficovin Investment Limited. Says, my question is, are they going to provide those branded materials? No, we are not going to provide you with the branded materials. You're going to come to the NIMSI, show us what you have, and we'll co-brand with you. We include the NIMSI logo or the NIMSI design in your branding, in your banners and everything you have. We do not brand for you, but you come with your designs and we look at it with the NIMSI communications unit. Then if it's okay, then we'll approve. Okay, another person saying, what is the meaning of FEP? Front-end enrollment partners. Another person saying, please, my question is, what's the full meaning of IEC? IEC is information, education, and communication materials. Information, education, and communication materials. Okay, another person said, what do we do to enhance inclusion of PWDs? Okay, my colleague will be coming to talk on that, on inclusion for PWDs. Okay. That will be taken later today. Okay, I think that's all for me. Okay. Okay, please, I need the full meaning of IEC. Okay, I just talked about that. That's information, education, and communication materials. Please.
Hello, Trust Crescent Limited, Lamino. Good morning, my name is Lamino Bukar from Trust Crescent Limited. If we are done with today's class and pass the exam, does that mean we are qualified? Yes, you have actually passed this stage. You are in training and assessment successfully. So then the next step is when we are done for the real enrollment exercise. Don't mind my voice, I'm having cold. So, so we are going to be onboarded to the particular location, devices, and so on and so forth for the proper enrollment to commence. So when you pass to this assessment, you have actually been certified. So I think that answers your question. The assessment is going to be done upon completion of today's classes, presentations. So it's going to be later in the day, between 2:30 and 3, thereabouts. The link will be shared, one to the email addresses you submitted, and we're equally going to put the link and the QR code on the display board where you can copy and put on your system and do the exam. The exam is for a few minutes, between 10 to 15 minutes. So we are going to guide you appropriately the requirement of the exams later today. Go and take the one that is.
Okay, so there's a question from Jubilee Care ICT Innovations. It said, in the situation where I do not understand the language or the dialect of the community and being posted, would there be a provision of an interpreter? Okay, can we go back to let's go back to community entry. Ocean from Jubilee, please, you pay attention to community entry. Can we go back to the slide, please? In community entry, we talked about identify your community before going to the community, because the questions are coming in. If I do not understand the language or the dialect of the people, another person says, is it possible for someone in Katsina to be posted to Kano or Kaduna for enrollment? Exactly. That is purely the FEP's discretion. In community entry, we said there are guidelines to community entry. Before you go to any community, identify the community. So if you are being posted there, like a Yoruba person, you're being posted to an Igbo land, yes, maybe you probably need to get an interpreter. You work with the community leaders. Or you talk to your employer. If you don't understand the language, you talk to your employer. They'll probably post someone that is conversant with that environment. You need to understand these guidelines to community entry. Before you go to any community, identify the community. If you know you're carrying something like, if you know your hairstyle is like dreadlocks, some community forbid it. You don't go there. So you need to identify the community, research about the community, know the terrain, the leadership, the religion, language, and other demography. Visit the community and engage with community leaders so that you hear from them before embarking on the trip. Thank you. Okay, wait, can you go up? There's a question there that says, Steve-O Computers and Academics is asking, Adeyemi, what of when going to remote places and when on the move? Would we be needing all these placards and designs? Okay, banners are very easy to carry on. So I won't use placards or placards. You use banners. They are foldable. You can easily carry them on with you when you're going to remote places. Because apart from your ID card, you need a signage at the background, that shows what you're doing. Thank you. Okay, another person from Ballard Educational System. Please, how do we convince attendee the genuineness of NIN issued by us? When we don't collect money and they tell LCDA, LG collect 500 or 1,000, probably for paper and fuel. Hold on for my colleague.
Yeah, under this new dispensation, you are not, and I repeat, you are not allowed to collect any money from anybody out there that you want to enroll into the NIMSI database. You only need to tell them this is free. I think you can even put it on your banner. Enrollment is free, so that people will have that into their head ab initio. So if you see anybody collecting money around, maybe the community leader or whatever, that is not part of the game. Tell them we don't collect money. We are paying you very well this time around. The enrollment you are going to do. Your FEP owner will advise you, will tell you what we are paying. You are not in the position to know directly from us how much you are paying. Tailor this question to your FEP owner so that it covers all your fuel, the paper, whatever you use to print out slip or the tracking ID for anybody you are enrolling. Please take note of that. All your expenditures are covered under this new dispensation. Thank you.
Okay, from Sin10 International Limited. Please, how can we undo a person that comes in with a breeder document that includes his name, but there's a mistake in the document, and he said he doesn't want the mistake in the name? Okay, you have to tell the person to come in with another document to support that. Yes, another document, yes. Or the BVN to support, no, something. Another document, yes. You tell him to come in with another document to support that so that you know you are imputing the right data in the system, because tomorrow the person can come back and say and deny it. So you need to ask for another document to support the first breeder document. Okay, from S. Yerima Ventures Limited. Are you going to give us the necessary materials for NIN enrollment as an agent? We have answered that. We have. We've answered that. Okay. Okay, there's this one from you. Okay, so there is this one that says, there's this one that says UI UBAC Engineering Services Limited. Will there be advertisement on the part of NIMSI before FEP enters the rural areas? Right now, NIMSI has embarked on different sensitization and awareness programs. We're on the radios, we're on the televisions, we're on signages everywhere. So I think that is advertisement, even in the rural areas. You can do your own advertisement, but you need to get approval from NIMSI. Your advertisement, it has to conform with the NIMSI's guidelines. Okay. Okay, someone said, good morning, ma. Please, what are branding materials? Branding materials are logos, t-shirts, new NIMSI logo, banners. Yes, I mentioned banners, t-shirts, ID cards. Those are branded materials. Face caps, you can brand anything to support what you're going for. Okay. Thank you very much. No more questions? Okay. Go down. Someone said, let's go down. Please, what is the meaning of PWD? PWD means persons with disabilities. Persons with disabilities. Any form of disability. Training on that will come later on PWDs. Okay. Okay, no, that's not mine. No. So sister. No, no, that's not ours. Okay, someone asked a question about what if the community rejects you? There's a question on what if the community rejects you? Can we see that question, please? There's a question on what if the community rejects you? Uh, if a community rejects you, please do not go there. If a community rejects you, do not go there. I think that's a simple answer to that. Hold on. Yes. Yes. Then send. Then you send the report to your organization that this community has insisted that they are rejecting you.
Yes.
Because there must be a reason. So, but then if they are not providing reasons, that means the environment is not safe. Yes. So if a community rejects you, please do not go there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. I think that is about all we can take for that section. We'll quickly progress to the next item on the agenda. And that has to do with procedure for licensing FEP. How what we are currently doing is part of the steps for licensing the FEP and the agents to be a part of this program. Somebody that is going to lead us through that is no another person than our own Akwiti or Akwiti. From the name, you should know that yes, it is the man that is synonymous with the lecture you want to take. So we'll listen up to him so that you can have a better understanding what you need to do now and before the enrollment and during enrollment proper. Mr. Kwiti, please, you can carry on with the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, my senior colleague. My name is Akwiti, like I've been introduced, and I'm going to guide you on the licensing and assurance framework, operationalization and compliance. Again, don't mind my voice. I've been on the road and in the air. Code is a bit funny these days, but it's well. Okay, so let us just quickly move on. Okay, I expect that at the end of this discussion, you should know the following 1 to number 7. There will be relevant abbreviations that I'm sure you can take home. You find out the purpose and objective of LAF. LAF, as it is coined, is Licensing and Assurance Framework. I'll be using that acronym a lot today, so it's better you just get used to it immediately. Licensing and Assurance Framework. What is LAF? The benefits, the key requirements, what we expect enrollment operators, you, our dear front-end enrollment partners, to do. And quickly, I want to say that it is data quality. We expect data quality. Then I will throw in some reminders on compliance. Then the gated approach, you will find out what that is. Some SOPs that are necessary for you, standard operating procedures, management of social risks, reporting, transparency, and accountability as it were that you require. Key elements of LATS that the lab sets out to test. Then we can conclude and we'll just beam a small take-home nugget for your purpose. Okay, let's quickly I just browse through the abbreviations. Probably I'll just beam it a bit for you to just look at quickly, then we can continue. These are abbreviations, acronyms, nomenclatures that you need to be conversant with. Now, our purpose for this document, which we call the Licensing and Assurance Framework, is as clear as it is stated. This is a comprehensive document that serves as a roadmap for operationalizing the LAF within the enrollment ecosystem project, which the NIMC and the ID4D is partnering to make sure it brings to the country as it is. And our objective is clear. We want to ensure compliance with the LAF document, with the LAF requirements to enhance trust. We expect that you as a front-end enrollment partner should be trustworthy and be efficient as a licensee in the identity management, because you are partners with us now. We expect that you should exude the same caliber of trust that the NIMC exudes and be efficient as the NIMC also is. Now, quickly, what is LAF? This is simply a strategic document covering designation of roles, appropriation of duties, permissions, service level agreement, because that aspect is key, for effective management of NIN issuance and the assurance processes. Like I said, the legal agreement part of this document is very, very key. And I believe that our colleagues that would deal with that will speak on that later on. If that lecture has been taken, I'm sure you must have been well educated. Now, the responsibilities of LAF clearly define the roles and obligation of NIMC and you licensees with regard to the NIN enrollment process. And it's as clear as that. That is the mainstream of what the document will speak to. Now, let me touch on licensing. This really covers the process of granting authorized access to resources, services, or software to the third-party enrollment agents based on certain terms and conditions, which I'm sure you are well aware that you need to go through. The rules and regulations for obtaining and using license, ensuring that only authorized users have the right to access specific resources or services. Non-authorized persons are not supposed to be in your team or about the things that you're doing. And that is why, if you remember, my last colleague that talked about branding clearly said something about the fact that you must brand and brand alongside NIMSI so that you are properly identified. Now, let me speak briefly about the assurance part of LAF. Okay? Processes to ensure and verify trustworthiness, reliability, and compliance of entities within the ecosystem. You understand? This is what the assurance exudes. This defines the technical procedural controls that licensed partners must implement to achieve the required assurance levels. I'm sure that if you embark on a task like you have willingly done and indicated interest, and they are going through the process of getting yourself onboarded to partner with NIMSI, you would exude what is expected of you in the vested things that were put down. The benefit of the LAF document. Now, it is clear that the document as it is comprehensive, it is live, it's breathing, it's evolving. But we want you to understand that the benefits therein is increased trust, enhanced security, improve interoperability. When you are enrolling Nigerians, there needs to be a sense of enhanced security that you need to bring to the table. You understand? Like I earlier said, the trust that is vested on you, which you have consciously taken up, must be there and increased. Users can be confident that the identities they interact with are legitimate. That is the assurance that Nigerians want to have from you. And because you're a licensed partner with NIMSI, we expect that that same aura is exuded by you. And that's the benefit that the LAF document brings to the table. And that is why it is a living document and it is a core document that you need to have and comply with. Now, quickly, the key requirements of LAFs are as elaborated clearly. Training and development of enrollment agents, that is their bit. Device management and security protocols. Onboarding process. Later on, you'll see how the process of onboarding goes to. Operational and compliance standard. It is very, very important. If you remember when I was talking about the purpose and objective, I made mention of the compliance as a key factor, the trust and efficiency. The operation and compliance standard that you exude, that you bring to the table, that you imbibe when you go out to enroll Nigerians is important. It's a very key requirement of the licensing and assurance framework document that we are putting up there, and it is one of the documents that you need to be handy with for your work to be done and done properly. Now, let's quickly just touch on the enrollment operations. Like I said, even when I told you that the things that you need to take home today are so and so 1 to 7, I quickly mentioned that data quality is top on the ladder. You are enrolling Nigerians, your data quality must be there. It cannot be garbage in, garbage out anymore. It cannot, the data that goes into the database must be genuine, must have integrity, must be authentic. Okay, and that is why we speak about the quality of it. Okay, and as it is as mentioned, as you can see, the licenses have an obligation to assure the quality of all data collected. The licensees are expected to ensure compliance of all agents performing enrollments and monitor their performance. It is their duty to also, be at the helm of monitoring the people that you put out there as your staff, as your agents that are doing this work of enrollment for you and on behalf and in collaboration with NIMSI. Okay.
So that they can hear.
Okay. Oh, better. I was glorying in the fact that I have a big voice, but I hope you're hearing me better now. Now, the data quality that we're talking about too speaks to all that we have put down here. A breach of these requirements shall constitute grounds for NIMSI to surcharge the licensee such amount as NIMSI may stipulate for the correction and modification of such wrongfully captured data. Slash information. You see, there are documents, legal documents that guide that you should align to. And that is why we are insisting on data quality and for you to know that you should be conscious enough concerning this data quality. And that is why we are putting up this information for you to be able to do that. Okay. Now, licensees compliance during enrollment. Several steps, several information that you need to know. And you can, if you can see clearly on my slides, I will attach in red references to the act, NIMSI Act, where it is for a purpose and you must be conscious to it and not, be wishy-washy about it. That is why attention is drawn for you to know that compliance on the collection of data and the way you go about it is key for NIMSI. Let me just read. The licensee must not refuse or prevent the registration of qualified persons for NIN enrollment in line with NIMSI Act. Having read that, the others are as clear as stated, and there are legal implications to it. My colleagues that will speak on that, or maybe must have spoken on that, will have enlightened appropriately. Okay, and the same information is still coming through. Let me read. The licensee and or e-staff agent must not forge electronic signature password or attempt any other unlawful use of another person's ID credentials. Such an act may result in a custodial sentence and or fine for the individual. These things are weighty and they are very, very serious. And it's important that what you do should also be considered serious. And our trust that is vested in you is important. Now we know that you are equal to the task. That is why we are bringing it to bear every time. Now, let me talk about the onboarding gates. As the name implies, these are now gates that you need to go through for you to get to the promised land, if I may put it that way. The onboarding process ensures your readiness to operate a live enrollment service in accordance with the licensing and assurance framework through series of service readiness assessment gates listed as you see from gate 0 up to gate 5. The condition satisfaction plan. There are conditions you must satisfy. There are gates that speak to the legal and financial that comes to play. There are gates that speak to the organizational capacity, including training. That is why you are going through this training, and it's expected that the knowledge transfer sessions should happen at your own table, where the box stops. Get thread environment and environment setup. Then after that, it is expected, okay, that get 0 to 3 can happen. What's the word? In parallel, okay? And it is as clear as that. Then when you get to the gate 4, that's where you now have to agree to go. There's an agreement to go live. You have to now synergize that with the NIMSI. Our gate 5 continued operational compliance. This happens, for your information, 30 days after going live. After I must have visited the gate 4, then the gate 5 of continued operational compliance, which you need to do, should happen 30 days after going live. Okay? And that is what is expected of every one of you. The next slide speaks to a summary of what I've just talked about, in that sequence. Of course, the condition of satisfaction plan, that is a prerequisite to the other onboarding gains. You must satisfy, there must be a satisfaction plan as described. Okay? The legal and financial aspect of it speaks. Now you must go to the gate 2 and gate 3, which can be done parallel, so time is not lost. Then you must now confirm readiness for live enrollments with final consent given verbally or through a formal communication by the National Identity Management Commission. Then, like I said, conduct a check of service delivery 30 days after going live, review operational reports, SLA reports, grievance and incident reports, and enrollment environment visits will happen, should happen. And that is why I say that these gates have been carefully crafted to allow you to get to the promised land. And I know all of you are willing to do that. Now, like I said, there are SOPs that you need to align with. Okay, I wouldn't want to bore us with reading through. That's why I decided to say references are imbibed in the combined SOP document. That's another document that will be shared with you, all of you. So when you see it, it is onus is on you to go through and be conversant with it. Now, I wanted to draw attention to management of social risks. This will help optimize enrollment exercise. The lab provides critical guides in the following areas. Some of my colleagues will speak on these things in details, but I needed you to have an idea that this is required. You can see the emoji there with a question mark and wondering. At the right time, you will find out what all that is all about. Now, the reporting, transparency, and accountability is also a very key aspect of what you're about as a front-end enrollment partner in line with the service you're going to provide. The reporting must be apt. There must be transparency. Accountability should also be top-notch. Now, going forward, the lab document sets out to test and ensure several critical aspects related to the front-end enrollment partners operating within identity ecosystem. And there are key elements that lab seeks to test. And it is only normal that will bring you to bear into these elements so that you are aware of it. One of it is effective setup and management of the enrollment centers, which is key. Very, very key. There must be availability of enrollment processes at the enrollment center. There are processes at the enrollment center that is key. Normal crowd control, being able to give allowance to PWs, to pregnant women, to children, be empathic and all the works. These are effective setup and management of enrollment centers, and it is key and a very key element to your success, to the success of what you want to do in collaboration with NIMSI. Number 2 is improve the enrollment process. Okay? In line with our mandate, giving licenses to you front-end enrollment partners is for improved enrollment process. To be able to reach the hinterland, to be able to, take away the burdens where it's required for the use of the country. And it is all stated out as displayed. The data, the accuracy of data aspect of it, the data security measures of it, the potential fraudulent biometric captures should be detected. And there are avenues and resources have been expended to make sure all these are carried out. The C part of it talks about quality of staff training. You will agree with me that, again, I want to use that it is not garbage in, garbage out. You cannot put out agents or staffs out there to capture Nigerians that have not been trained properly. Competence level is key. There's a code of conduct in place, and all our staff should be aware. Of course, I spoke about instances of gender-based violence reported and or support provided. You understand? Your staff quality, the training that you put out there to your staff is key, and you must take into consideration these attributes, these parameters to be able to do that. That is why we have decided to say these are key elements that the lab set out to test. And it is important that you are educated and you are aware. Now, the D part talks about increased inclusivity. Okay? And if I might point out at this juncture that the number of exception cases that the disabled persons enrolled, I think there are specific licensees that this speaks to. So if it's not your bit, fine, but it's a knowledge that must be grasped. Let me talk about the E part, which primarily I know will be a part that you will be happy at. The business model and payment solution. You are in business with collaboration and partnership with NIMC because you also is a business for you. But you should smile because the payment solutions that have been adopted will give you, if putting it simply, you can go and sleep while you're delivering your services. You shouldn't worry about, oh, am I going to be paid? There's an established end-to-end transparency of the payment solution. There's dynamic payment structure working and effective. Okay? Your billing is with the Joe Special Value Index. One of my colleagues and senior directors will speak to this, and you will get better knowledge of what we're talking about. But for me, for information for you at this juncture is that you should sleep well and ensure that the data quality that you're putting out is solid. So you're not afraid that, oh, having done and taking into cognizance of the last document and doing what I'm supposed to do, am I going to be paid? Yes, you'll be paid and paid appropriately. I don't know why my emojis are not coming up, but I wanted you to have an idea of all the documents that will be at your disposal. You have training materials. The training that is going on, there are materials for you. Like I earlier said, there will be documents, combined SOPs documents that will be shared. Legal documents, that's why I brought out a few of them to draw your attention in the compliance that you need. Of course, the document I'm speaking to is a core document. The licensing and assurance framework documents will all be shared to you. Okay, and those are documents that will be at your disposal. Thank you. It's nice speaking to you. The last document in conclusion, the document that serves as a guideline for implementing the obligation of NIMC and front-end enrollment personnel with regards to NIN enrollment process to achieve continued compliance with the framework. And I believe that you are equal to the task. Thank you. Like I said, take home for you is what I must have displayed. You can just quickly look at it. Okay, the last one said 95% of what we teach others. We learn 95% of what we teach others. We have discussed today, if you pass this information across to your agents, to your staff going out there, it is good. Thank you. I believe we can take a few questions as the questions come. Okay, let me even quickly remind ourselves the full meaning of laugh. Laugh is not the laugh of you're laughing. Well, you're laughing because you're in business with NIMSI and you're delivering to the nation. The full meaning of laugh is licensing and assurance framework. It's a live document, like I've said several times. Full meaning of laugh is licensing and assurance framework. Laugh.
Yeah, you can know some of them are joining today. The one by Yerima Ventures, down there. In a situation where,
Okay, just leave this. Another one. Quickly talk about.
in a situation whereby the information provided by
Okay,
enrollees.
okay. Yarima Ventures, Abubakar, you said in a situation whereby the information provided by the enrollee, there's a mistake of date of birth after printing the name slip. How are we going to effect corrections? I mentioned this when I was handling my part, that only two modules will be allowed for you to use, and which is the CR new and ER new. So you will not be allowed to do any form of modification. So please take note of this. You will not be allowed to do any form of modification. And that is why I mentioned to you that while doing enrollment, be patient. Don't rush. Ensure you check what is filled on the form against the proof of identification the person submitted to you. So please take that off your mind. There's nothing like date of birth modification or any form of modification. You are not going to be allowed to do it. The only thing you are going to be allowed to do is fresh enrollment that generates a name. That's the only thing you're allowed to do. Thank you.
And in addition to that, it could be that this mistake you are pointing out from here may have come from you. So Mr. Jaya has told you to be patient. Look at the breeder document submitted that, while you are doing the enrollment, to be sure that you copy out the date of birth, the name out correctly, and let the enrollee cross-check to confirm that, yes, the information provided and captured are accurate. That is when they sign the consent note, the consent page, before you submit to the back end. Please ensure that they do the cross-checking before sending, so that you won't say, you printed this. I told you July, why did you put June or May? Thank you.
Okay, let me also in quick succession. Naya Technology Solution, you're saying, thank you for the lectures. Please, what is KPIs? KPIs are simply key performance indices. Okay, go back, scroll back. Okay, key performance indicators that simply mean them KPIs. Anonymous attendee, how we get materials after finishing training. Yes, you will get those materials I talked about through the FEPs, yeah, the owners, because those will be shared to them. Okay. Continue, scroll. Hold on. What is the full meaning of SOPs? I thought all these we are given. Standard operating procedures. SOP, standard operating procedure. Hold on. Chukwuka Eya, I hope I got that right. McFeely Enterprise, who pays agents and enrollment officers, FEP or NIMSI? NIMSI pays the agents and enrollment officer through a collaboration with World Bank. And that is why the ID for D is also in partnership. And for your information, it is the company that is paid, the recognized company, not the agent that is in the field. Of course, every agent has a base. That is, I'm sure that is given for all of us to know. Take it easy now. Hold on. Go down a little bit, please. Anonymous attendee also said, please, someone should make this thing clear for me. Are we the enrollment officers? Are we the enrollment officers, the front end partners, or the organization we work for are the front end partners? Secondly, are NIMSI sending us on an assignment to some communities, or we are going to place we wish to capture? Your front end partner, front end enrollment partner, the owner of the business would decide to send you where he or she wishes. You're supposed to cover nationwide, the hinterlands, and as you choose. That's why you are being empowered to do so. And it is their organization that is the recognized front-end enrollment partners. And that is why my last colleague that spoke about branding, reiterated that you must brand alongside with NIMSI, the organization that has picked up the license, that have been licensed, is the recognized front-end enrollment partner. Then there are agents attached to them. We understand that, but we recognize the licensee, the person that has picked up the license and is doing the business. I hope that clarifies what you want. Okay, FIC Professionals Network, PLC. If we work and we are not paid by our organization, is there any way to report to NIMSI? You don't have any problem about working and not being paid by your organization. Your organization there's a robust payment model now, and it is end-to-end, and it is top-notch. So there will be no, I don't know how to put it, there will be no need for this worry you're talking about. Unless maybe you're an agent that has issues with your organization. That, I'm sure, is not, that box doesn't stop at NIMSI's table, it stops at the organization's table. So be rest assured. Take it easy. Look at Eugene talking about
Eugene, before I take Eugene's question, the comment my colleague made on whether you have the the toll gate to reporting your FEP to NIMSI if you are not paid on time. That you have a contractual arrangement between yourself and your FEP. I would believe that should be resolved between you and your FEP. The only person that is allowed to communicate with NIMSI is the owner, the FEP owner themselves, not the agents. So if you have anything that bothers you at your enrollment center, you report to your FEP, and if it is the one that should involve NIMSI, your FEP will report to NIMSI for appropriate action. But in terms of payment, the payment is not going to be delayed as it used to be in the past. We believe there won't be any issue in terms of you receiving your payment timely. So we don't take complaint directly from the agent. It's directly from the FEP, not the agent. So the Eugene Continental Concept Limited. Good afternoon. Are we in afternoon? Okay. To all the esteemed trainers, we sincerely appreciate your time, effort, dedication to this successful training program. On behalf of some of the front-end enrollment partners, we want to plead for a shift in the coming assessment considering the inability of some of us to fully attend the training due to different challenges of network and other technical issues. And the PowerPoint slide be shared to us for proper reading and understanding for assessment. Yes, when training schedule like this is put in place, we normally inform from day one when the assessment will take place. And we started doing this from Tuesday when we started this training, that the assessment will be today. This assessment you are maybe afraid of, whether if it's taken today, you'll be able to do well, is going to be a multiple choice question that cut across some of these things we've told you. And I assure you, attempting it, you are going to, being a part of this program alone, I believe you should be able to pick one or two knowledges acquired here and be able to pass the exam. We are not shifting it because we need to make a report on the assessment at the close of business today. So please stay in and be ready to take the assessment upon completion of the training today. Thank you.
Okay, Naya Technology Solution. You're still talking about payments. But I'm sure because I spoke about the business model and payments. The payment solution is robust now. Well done for your lecture. My question is on payment. How much are we doing to be paid by enrollment? Don't worry. The authority on that will speak to it. Don't worry. In subsequent lectures that will come. Thank you.
That will be about all on the licensing and assurance framework. Okay. We'll go on quick break for 20 minutes. And 20 minutes from now, that will be like 10:30. Let's say 10:40. We'll be back and resume the presentation and the training. Thank you very much. And have a wonderful time while you take your own breakfast as well. Thank you. Right.